Hello students, today we are going to learn a new and very interesting chapter whose name is quadratic equation. It is in class 10 mathematics. So this chapter is not so hard chapter, this is an easy chapter. Okay, though it is new, it is easy. So first we will try to understand that what is a quadratic equation. What kind of equations become quadratic equation? Say I have an equation 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now what will be the degree of this equation? If I find out the degree of this equation, I will see that the degree of this equation is equal to 3, because degree means the highest power of the variable. Here the variable is x and there are 4 terms. Out of these 4 terms, in the first term, the power of x is maximum 3. Here 2, here 1. So the degree of this equation is equal to 3. Let me take one more equation, like 2x squared plus 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. Here there are 3 terms. Here the power of x is 1 and here the power of x is 2. So the degree of this equation is equal to 2. Let me take one more equation. Say 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. The degree of this equation is 1. So out of these 3 equations, its degree is 3. So it will not be a quadratic equation. Its degree is 2. Yes, this is going to be a quadratic equation. So what we understand from this? An equation whose degree is 2 is called a quadratic equation. So let me write the definition. An equation whose degree is 2 is called a quadratic equation. So this is the definition of quadratic equation. Next we will learn about the standard form of a quadratic equation. The quadratic equation have a standard form. Like in class 9 you have studied linear equations. In linear equations also you have standard form, like ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. That is a linear equation. So here the standard form of a quadratic equation is standard form of a quadratic equation. It is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is the standard form of a quadratic equation. Now, if I write a quadratic equation in this way, now this is not the standard form, because here it is 7x and here bx is here. So in order to bring it in the standard form, this term, the maximum power term, I have to write in the beginning. So I can write 5x squared plus 7x plus 2 is equal to 0. So now it has become the standard form of a quadratic equation. In the standard form of a quadratic equation, what we have found that a, b and c are constants. A, b and c are constants, and x is the variable. But one condition is there. Here a cannot become equal to 0. Now if a becomes equal to 0, this whole term will become equal to 0. So ultimately there will be no x square. That means the degree of this equation will become equal to 1. So a cannot become equal to 0. Conditions should be maintained. A not equal to 0. Now if I compare this equation with this one, in place of a I have seen there is 5. in place of B there is 7, in place of C there is 2. So these are the constants. So you can write here A is equal to 5, B is equal to 7 and C is equal to 2. Now this is all about the standard form of a quadratic equation. So what is a quadratic equation? What are the standard form of a quadratic equation? Now the question is how to solve a quadratic equation. You know, an equation is formed by certain conditions, and depending upon certain conditions you make a equation. But we have to solve the equation to find out the value of x. Suppose the unknown quantity you have considered x and you have made an equation. Now if you solve the equation, then only you will get the value of that unknown quantity. Now we will see that what are the methods of solving a quadratic equation. Methods of solving quadratic equation. So the first method of solving a quadratic equation is by factorization. Number 1, by factorization. This is one method of solving a quadratic equation. The second method is by, one more method is there, is called completing square method. Completing square method. Third way of solving a quadratic equation is by quadratic formula, by using quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. And fourth is by graphical method. So total there are 4 methods of solving a quadratic equation. Number 1 is by factorization, number 2 by completing square method, number 3 by quadratic formula, and 4 by graphical method. So in class 10 these 3 methods are given, but the 4th method is not given in class 10. So this 4th method we are not going to discuss in this lecture. Okay, now one by one we will see that how to solve a quadratic equation by the method of factorization, how to solve by the method of completing square, and by quadratic formula. Now we do not know the quadratic formula, I will deduce it. Okay, now the first method, let us come to the first method, by method of factorization. Number 1, by factorization method. So let us take an equation. Okay, the equation is, say, 7x plus 3x squared plus 4 is equal to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. In this quadratic equation, you see it is not in the standard form. Okay, so first by solving the method of factorization method, first you have to check whether it is in the standard form or not. So let us bring it in the standard form first. So you have to write 3x squared plus 7x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now, in the process of factorization, you have to split this middle term into 2 factors. Now we will learn how to do it. First, you have to multiply this term into this term. So if I multiply 3x into 4, I will get how much? 12x square. If I multiply 3x square with 4, I will get 12x square. Now if I factorize, if I bring 2 factors, one will be 3x, another will be 4x. It may be 2x and 6x also, 6x also, but it is not possible because 2x plus 6x will not split this one, it will become 8x. So in order to break this 7x, I need 3x and 4x. Now if I add them, it will become equal to 7x. So it will match with the middle term. So I will take it 3x and 4x. You see, 3x into 4x, by multiplying I will get 12x square, and 3x plus 4x I will get 7x. So what I will do here, 3x square, I will split it into 3x and 4x, plus 3x plus 4x plus 4 equal to 0. Now if I take common here, out of these two terms, I can take 3x common. Is that it? So what will remain here? X plus 1. You see, 3x into x equal to 3x square, and 3x into 1 equal to 3x. Now from here, if I take 4 common, how much will remain? X plus 1. Because 4 into x is 4x and 4 into 1 is equal to 1. So this much is very easy. The next step is, now we have two terms. From these two terms, if I take x plus 1 common, then what will remain? 3x plus 4 equal to 0. Now we have converted this into two factors. Now suppose two factors are there. Say this is one factor into another factor, and the answer is equal to 0. Suppose these two terms are non-zero terms, then you will never get the answer 0. In order to get the answer 0, either this term should be 0 or this term should be 0. Any one should be 0. So this into this equal to 0. So either x plus 1 is equal to 0 or 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. So either x plus 1 is equal to 0 or 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now if I solve, I will get x is equal to minus 1, and here I solve 3x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to minus 4 divided by 3. So in this way we can solve by the method of factorization. Okay, so first thing we have to remember is that the first step is you have to bring it in the standard form, number 1. Number 2, by multiplying these two I will get a product, and by splitting this product into two parts you have to make the middle term. Okay, so you have to split the middle term in such a way that it matches also at the same time. If you multiply them, that becomes equal to what you multiply these two. The same answer should become. So this is by the method of factorization. Here I have added, but sometimes it may be necessary to subtract also. Okay, so I'll show you one more example where how to subtract and solve this by the method of factorization. Let us take one more equation. Say x square minus x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now you see. Now if I multiply x square with minus 6, remember it is not plus 6. Okay, you have to take it minus 6, because if I take it in the standard form like ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, then everywhere there is plus. So that means if I put plus here, then minus 6 will be inside the bracket. That means c is equal to minus 6. So if I multiply, it will become minus 6x square. So minus 6x square, if I split, it will be minus 3x and 2x. Is not it? So minus 3x and 2x. Now you see, minus 3x and 2x, if I add, the result will be minus x. So it matches with the middle term. So if we split the middle term into minus 3x and 2x, it becomes minus x. And if we multiply minus 3x into 2x, the answers become minus 6x square. So in both the ways, it is correct. So I will write it in this way: x square minus 3x plus 2x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now from here, I can take x common. If I take x common from here, I will get x minus 3, because x into x equal to x square, and x into minus 3 is equal to minus 3x. From this part, if I take 2 common, I will get x minus 3 equal to 0. Now from these two terms, from this term and this term, if I take x minus 3 common, then what will remain? X minus 3, if I take common, here x will remain and here 2 will remain. Now same condition like before, the product of two terms becomes equal to 0. Now either of the term should be equal to 0, only then it is possible. So either x minus 3 equal to 0, either x minus 3 equal to 0 or x plus 2 equal to 0, or x plus 2 equal to 0. So the value of x is equal to 3 and the value of x is equal to minus 2. So this is how you have to solve by the method of factorization. So this is the easiest method. Before also in class 8 and class 9 you have learned how to split the middle term. So same thing is used here. Okay, only the difference is that here it is an equation and there it used to be an algebraic term. So again 3 more methods are there, out of which 2 methods I am going to explain in this class. The second method is by completing square and third method is by quadratic formula. So these 2 methods I will discuss in the next class. Okay, see you then.